Hi fellas, this clip I'm going to play you is for notorious Piers Morgan, Tommy Robinson shutdown interview. Yes, where as soon as Tommy started making his point, stating some of the truth of a certain unholy book, he was shouted down, he was shut down, he was called obscene names like racist, money. And I just want to go through it. I'm going to pause it at one or two places, well, 2 or 3 places, to speak some of the truth which Tommy wasn't allowed to speak. I mean, he was basically shut down and bullied on air, wasn't he? I don't profess to know as much as Tommy or to be anywhere in his league, but I just want a few of you guys, especially the Antifa guys who know nothing about this ideology, to learn 1 or 2 things from humble me, because I've read quite a bit of the Quran, especially where it regards how it regards the dirty kuffar, the dirty infidel scum, which is us basically. So I'm going to play it now, and I'll pause it a few places just to give you a bit of vital information which Tommy did not get the chance to say. Let's just get to start now.
Right, 6:38. Laura, thanks very much indeed. The former leader of the English Defence League, Tommy Robinson, has caused fury after accusing the Finsbury Park Mosque of creating terrorists.
Well, actually, the Finsbury Park Mosque has had many notorious hate preachers, including Abu Hamza, the Hook, who presently is in America serving a 25-year jail sentence, for planning to capture American soldiers and torture them and hold them hostage for money. So that is why Abu Hamza, the Hook, who had 1 arm and 1 eye, that is how Tommy knows for a fact that this mosque has been involved. And Abu Hamza isn't the only hate preacher. It was known as, at one time, as the suicide bomber factory. So many people had left there and gone to Syria to fight for ISIS and to kill American and British soldiers. So I'll let it continue.
So after the terror attack last night, he tweeted, "The mosque where the attack happened tonight has a long history of creating terrorists and radical jihadists."
Yes, and it has. A great list of them. I've seen about 6 hate preachers, and there's a few dozen suicide bombers and fighters left to go to Syria and Iraq and what have you. So I'll let it continue.
Promoting hate and segregation.
And he joins us now. Tommy Robinson, thanks very much for coming in this morning. You followed up that particular tweet with another one. Finsbury Park Mosque was a UK government-protected planning centre for hundreds of jihad attacks, plots which killed British soldiers and children. The fact of the matter is, Finsbury Park Mosque is a pioneering mosque doing all sorts of great community work.
Well, it might be now, but it certainly wasn't at one time.
By implying that it's somehow involved in terrorism, is actually whipping up a feeling which is not helpful considering what happened yesterday.
When you say that, all I've done was repeat what newspapers across our country have said. Those were facts. The facts are that it did create terrorists. It was a hotbed for jihadists. That's a fact.
Yes, it is a fact. It was known as the Suicide Factory. I saw the headlines a few years ago.
That's all I've done, was give the history, and that's from many of the newspapers, one of the newspapers you work for, Piers. So it's not me
You
saying
can't
it.
innocently stand back and say, putting something so provocative out there, a historical piece of information about a mosque which is now absolutely at the forefront of counter-extremism, winning a war.
How does she know this? Does she attend regularly? I mean, how can she say this factually?
For the good work that it's doing on integration. You can't stand back and say, I'm putting out this rather inflammatory tweet and piece of historical information and say, oh, but all I'm doing is just stating facts.
I'm saying facts. Do you know who Mohammed...
What's the purpose of putting that out
If
there?
you read in context with the rest of the tweets, the rest of my tweets, that's not in context. There's a whole flurry of tweets where I was saying how I condemn the attack as barbaric, as wrong. Do you know who Mohammed Saballah is? No?
I'm sure you're about to tell us.
Well, he's a trustee of the mosque. He signed the Istanbul Declaration, which called for... He's the trustee now at the pioneering mosque. He called for British troops to be killed. He signed the Istanbul Declaration. He was also a mastermind for the military campaign for a terrorist organisation, Hamas. So, and when you talk about a pioneering Do you know who Abdullah Jabbar is? No?
Unfortunately,
Do you
Tony
know
Robinson,
who?
you can cast out all
I'm not
sorts
casting out
of
a name, but
criticisms
what
and aspersions
I'm
on these
giving you.
people. We don't have them on the programme
Okay,
for a right of reply.
No, but I think no, okay. Well, what I'm telling you is that hate preachers are still speaking at that mosque. Muslim Brotherhood
Which
is
mosque?
at the Finsbury Park Mosque.
That's not where the attack was.
No, but no, you're talking. You've come on and you're talking to me about the Finsbury Park Mosque.
No, but let
Because
me
it's
put it
what
up there,
you
hang on.
tweeted about.
Here's
Can
my point, Tom. Here's my point. Right, I've read a lot of stuff that you've said and done. I know your history. I know all of it. Good, bad, and ugly. Some of it's ugly, and some of it I agree with. Right. My issue with what you did yesterday was that within 1 hour of this utter lunatic, this terrorist driving from Wales and deliberately mowing down innocent people, as it turned out all Muslims, outside the Muslim welfare house, not the Finsbury Park Mosque, killing one, maiming maybe 10 others, is that your first thought process was not to express sympathy for what had happened. No, hang on. I read the tweets in sequential order, right? That within 1 hour, your thought process was to go on the attack, to talk about another mosque, not the one that had been attacked, to talk about it in historical context of when everyone knows that Finsbury Park Mosque at the turn of the century was a bad place with Abu Hams and everything else, right? And what you were doing was fomenting hatred and almost suggesting that somehow this attack, this revenge attack, as you put it, was in somehow deserving because of the historical behaviour of certain...
Historical behaviour. Less than a month before this attack, a Manchester British-born jihadi used his own student loan off the government, his charity loan, to go to Syria and learn how to build a bomb and kill 22 children, mothers and dads at the Manchester Arena concert, Ariana Grande concert. So do not think this might be connected, since it was like 3 weeks after the Manchester attack. Come on, Piers, wake up.
people at a completely different mosque.
Okay,
that was my problem.
Okay, Piers. The newspaper you work for said exactly the same within an hour. Abu Hamza's mosque. Were they fomenting hate, that newspaper that you work for? Were they? Were they inciting hate?
Well, I don't know.
We did actually say this. I read it myself. He's got no answers for this, you see. This just offends him and sends him on the defensive. Starts making Piers aggressive.
No, please.
I don't run the Daily Mail.
Okay, but you've just said I was. So what's the newspaper you work for who said exactly the same within an hour?
I have no responsibility for the Daily Mail. I write columns for Daily Mail.
Okay.
I'm not asking you about the Daily Mail.
Okay, can I explain?
I'm asking you just to simply explain why, within 1 hour of this terrorist attack, your first thought process was to go on the attack about another mosque and to point out to people that it was basically a terror hotbed of jihadis, with the clear implication that somehow...
Well, it was, because it was called a suicide factory. Dozens of people had left Finsbury Mosque and killed Americans and killed good Muslim people in the Middle East. You twerp.
What happened that night was a deserved revenge attack.
Not deserved. I have gone...
Why would you talk about...
I'll talk now. I've talked now.
With any luck, this part 2 will come up now.
With the clear implication that somehow what happened that night was a deserved revenge attack.
Not deserved. I have gone...
Why would you talk about...
I'll talk...
It was a reaction. It was a revenge reaction to the massive rape gangs, to the documentary on television called The Three Girls that showed how pizza men, Asian pizza men, had been raping young virgin girls for years in Rochdale.
Now, I've talked about for 10 years, I've been banging my head and trying to prevent the situation we're in. Yeah. Now, every single mosque, I could tell you things in 10 minutes. When we look what happened in Manchester, yeah, look what happened in Manchester. This is from the Disbury Mosque where Salman Abedi went. This is a leaflet. 650,000 of these were given out to British mosques last year. Living in a society in which people have accepted Western lifestyle as their way of life brings immorality at every step. Modesty, shame and honour have no place in Western civilization.
See, so they are calling us dirty kuffar, we're animals, scum, perverts. This is what it says in the Quran. It regards us as scum and animals, dirty kuffar. There's even 12 different classifications.
These are the views that are being perpetrated. Now, this is a book from the children's section at Didsbury Mosque. It says, the music made me do it. Now, in this book...
What does this have to do with your tweets the other night?
Because we need to know what's happening in mosques.
But I'm asking you, but hang on, we can come to other mosques in a minute. And there are issues where you have rightly, in my view, flagged up issues with the more Wahhabi type of mosque preaching in this country, which I think is a serious concern. My issue with where you come from on this is driven by the fact that...
Serious concern, yeah, when they're actually running people over with lorries and bombing children. I'd say that's pretty much a hard concern, Piers, yes, I'd agree with you on that one.
You appear to be an Islamophobe, somebody that is hateful of Islam.
No, an Islamophobe is somebody that has an irrational fear of Islam. Islam has killed 300, 250 or 300 million people, so I think it's quite legitimate to be quite frightened of it. And it ran the entire human slave trade for 1400 years, Piers. But you don't realise this, do you, you buffoon?
You believe that the root cause of all this is Islam, not Islamist terrorists who abuse the Quran and abuse Islam to justify their violence, right? Okay. That's my problem with where you come from. And I want to play you a video. Now, you know about... I'm going to play you a video.
See, shutting him down, shouting him down, so we can't back his arguments up with facts. Classic Antifa behaviour. Because they're scared of hearing the truth. They won't let them speak the truth of this savage ideology in the media, just like they won't on Facebook and they won't on YouTube, because there's 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 people ready to report anything of the truth of this savage ideology.
Just made
I need to play you the video so you can make your point. Right, let's just play a video. This is you talking about the 7/7 attacks, right? And the reason it's significant is because I want you to explain what you meant when you said this.
Yep, fine.
Every single Muslim watching this video on YouTube, on 7/7, you got away with killing and maiming British citizens. You got away with it.
Well, somebody did, didn't they? And they certainly weren't Christians or Jews or Hindus.
Look, here's my question for you, right? That's not just an anti-Islam statement that you're making to what was an EDL rally. It's 2011, so years after 7/7. You're saying every single Muslim...
Listen to this, watch this.
Well, let me finish my question and then I'll give you the time to answer. Every single Muslim got away with killing and maiming British citizens.
That's not worded how I said it.
Well, we've just heard it.
Yeah, but that's not worded how I said it.
We've just heard what you said.
Every single Muslim listening to this.
Right.
Yeah? Every single Muslim listening to this. Right. I didn't say every single Muslim got away with it. I said so that's a context.
What's the difference?
Because every single Muslim listening to this, I want them to... My job was leader of the English Defence League. We were a pressure movement. I was trying to put pressure on the Islamic community to deal with their...
You said every single Muslim.
Listening to this.
What's the difference?
Well, I wanted every single Muslim at home to listen to this.
But you said to them, every single Muslim watching this video, you got away with killing and maiming British citizens. Let's just play it again so we can be sure.
We can go over.
Every single Muslim watching this video on YouTube, on 7/7, you got away with killing and maiming British citizens. You got away with it.
No, unless I'm mistaken, you are addressing all Muslims in that statement, right?
Yep.
You accept that?
I accept that.
And so my issue again to you is, it's a bit like with this guy from Wales who perpetrated this terror attack, me now doing a video and saying every single white person in Britain, right? This is if I was a Muslim, you just got away with killing and maiming our people.
Yep.
What would your reaction be?
Well, I'll explain now. Piers, when I said that, which I've come out and accepted that I shouldn't have said it in those words, I've already done that. The video you've just picked, why haven't you picked the video after Lee Rigby was beheaded? Where in that video, in my first speech, I said there were 600 Muslims serving in the British Armed Forces who are doing a hell of a lot more than most of us. Yeah? If you attack a Muslim woman walking down the street, you're a coward. If you attack a mosque, you're a moron. So there's obviously an agenda to only pick this. That's the one video.
It's no agenda. It's one of the most, as you know, it's one of the most widely viewed videos of yours on the internet. If you Google your name, which I did yesterday, that's what comes up. And again, I say to you, Tommy, I've had a lot of reaction to the column I wrote about you yesterday, or about this story, and a lot of people were agreeing with you, right? So you have a powerful and influential voice.
And every single opportunity, I make a difference between the followers of Islam, people, and the idea.
Okay,
but do you still... Let me finish my question.
Do you still believe...
Well, okay, but you don't allow the Finsbury Park Mosque a chance to redeem
Yes, I do.
themselves.
Yes, I
You
do.
don't allow.
Yes, I do.
No, your first thought process after this attack was to tell
No, it
people.
wasn't your newspaper's first thought
No,
process.
it's not my newspaper.
I took what
it's
the
not my newspaper.
I
We
took
have
the
the
newspaper
tweet
you
you
work for and
tweeted,
replied.
Tommy.
Yeah.
We have the tweet you tweeted. We have the tweet you tweeted, Tommy.
Yeah.
We have the tweet you tweeted. That is not you moving on from Finsbury Park Mosque or allowing them to evolve or change.
Okay.
That is you telling everybody Finsbury Park Mosque is a jihadi terrorist hotbed.
Well, it certainly was at one time, and the Daily Mail and the BBC agreed with them.
Right? That's what you're saying in that
I said
tweet.
it was. Now,
Yeah, but why are they not allowed to move on, but you are?
You know the man who's just done this attack? Say we trace it back and we find that he went to a centre in Cardiff, and in that centre in Cardiff there was 4 speakers, and those 4 speakers were killing for the murder of Muslims. What will happen?
No,
Let me finish. No, let me finish. What would happen is it would be shut down and they would be arrested. Now, Didsbury Mosque, it had one imam, Muhammad Adam, said that if you see non-Muslims walking down the street, you make sure they cross the other side. Yeah, you do not say salam to them, do not show them respect.
Tommy.
If people, another hate preacher. No, please let me
But I
finish.
agree with
Please,
you about-
Piers, let
I
me
agree
finish.
with you.
Piers, please.
He won't let me finish because he knows too much about it, and Piers knows sweet FA about it.
Let me
About
finish. No.
hate preaching.
Let me finish because you want to know
Who are
why
you trying to persuade with this?
No, I'm trying to explain to you why we're in the situation we're in. People see no light at the end of the tunnel. After that attack in Manchester, where and this is hatred against music. He targeted a kid's concert. He could recite the Quran without looking at it. The imam from that mosque was fighting jihad for years in Libya. Okay, please let me finish. Please, Piers, let me finish.
No, because you're
Let me
missing
finish
my point.
No, you're missing the point. I'll get to the point.
Yeah, you are missing the point. You're missing the point to cover up war crimes for 1450 years of Islam. You idiot, Piers.
This mosque, okay, so we've got people inciting murder against non-Muslims. What has been the reaction? Has any politician spoke about that mosque? Has anyone done anything about that mosque? They haven't. Do you know what the police done? The police went and stood next to him holding a sign saying "Stronger Together." Stronger Together. They've been inciting hatred and murder against us.
Robinson,
That mosque needs to be shut down.
I need to.
And other mosques,
Okay,
please let me finish.
You need to stop talking. Sorry,
You need to stop talking. The truth. Yeah, you do, because it doesn't agree with their bloody far left pro-jihad agenda.
When the British public see this, when the British public see these things, and they see ISIS fighters walking on the streets, you understand it's going to create the problem you saw this week.
We all understand this. And by the way,
Because the plain fact is they should all be in detention. They should all be or deported or put in jail because they hate us. They genuinely hate us and want to kill as many of us as they can.
Talk about it unless the British
we
public
have
are
been
allowed.
talking about little else for the last 3 months on this programme. I have said many things similar to
You
you.
haven't. You've been brave.
So here's my point. This is not about me saying everything you say is wrong. My problem comes.
What's wrong
when
with my accent?
Let me finish.
The way I talk, my background.
Mate, we both went to comprehensive schools, right?
You went to
I went to a state school, mate.
Yeah, you went to a school in Surrey.
No, I didn't. I went to a school in Sussex called Taylor
Sussex,
Comprehensive, right? Don't play the class card with me.
You know nothing. You know nothing
I know
about
about
growing
you.
up in Luton. You know nothing about growing up in Luton.
No, he doesn't, because he's come from a rich family, a middle-class family. That's why he's on like 500 grand a year working on the TV, isn't it, Piers?
You haven't watched your town decay. You haven't seen. I travel this country meeting families whose daughters have been raped, who are desperate. The British public are desperate for this problem to be solved. You want to talk about the radicalising factor as to why this attack? No, we need to talk about why this attack happened.
We're sick of them ignoring the rape gangs for 30 years. I saw it 24 years ago, and it was ignored then too.
We need to.
Calm down.
We have to.
Calm down and let me respond to you. I'm not saying nothing you say has merit, right? I have argued the same points about the Wahhabi preaching in mosques in this country, the extremism. I've urged Muslims, the decent law-abiding Muslims, to root out extremists. My problem with you...
They can't because they're too scared to, because they get attacked themselves.
...is that you conflate Islamist terrorism with all Muslims.
No, with Islam.
Well, I've just seen a video where you
talked about 7 years ago, Piers, come on.
The Finsbury Park Mosque stuff you're talking about was 15 years ago. If they're not allowed to be...
I've just told you that...
So are you.
Piers, can I ask, okay, what do you know about Islam?
A lot.
Okay, have you read the biography of Muhammad?
Yes, I've read the...
No, he hasn't. He knows sweet FA about it, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be shutting Tommy down for speaking the truth.
Quran.
Have you read... Yes, I have.
Have you read the Bible?
Yes, have you read the biography of
Which
Muhammad?
has more violence in it?
Piers, have you read the biography of Muhammad? What do you know about the Prophet Muhammad?
Which has more...
Nothing. That's why he won't answer.
Just ask me a question,
I'm
please.
asking-
What do you know about the Prophet Muhammad?
Here's how this programme works.
You said in your
Here's how
newspaper,
this programme
newspaper article
You
yesterday,
are
I
a
was
guest
ignorant.
on our programme, and I asked the questions with Suzanne.
You said
I would like you
slandered me in
to. I
national
would like
newspaper
you
yesterday, Piers.
to just clarify this. Do you believe, as you did in 2011, that all Muslims are accountable?
Of course I don't.
So do you apologise for what you said?
I've already apologised on national
Right.
TV when I left the English Defence League and joined a Muslim counter-extremism think tank, which again in your article you didn't want to talk about yesterday. Now, as I could say, you said yesterday...
Let me ask you another question. Do you think...
Please, why am I not allowed to finish?
Do you believe...
He's not allowed to finish a single sentence, exactly, because he's a bully, a bloody media Nazi. That's what you are, Piers.
more Muslims should be allowed into our country?
Do I believe more?
Yes.
How would you tell who those Muslims are or where they come from?
I'm just asking you, do you believe, would you have a ban, like Donald Trump suggested in America, would you have a ban on Muslims entering the country, new Muslims trying to have a home in this country?
I believe we need to protect the British public right now.
So what's the answer to the
You
question?
British Muslims.
Yeah, we did, the British public. I didn't say British non-Muslim public. I said the British public.
Including Muslims, obviously, because some of the worst victims of this cruel ideology, obviously,
Just asking you, would you have a ban, like Donald Trump suggested in America, would you have a ban on Muslims entering the country, new Muslims trying to have a home in this country?
I believe we need to protect the British public right now.
So what's the answer to the
You
question?
British Muslims.
Yeah, we did, the British public. I didn't say British non-Muslim public. I said the British public. We've had
What are you protecting British Muslims from?
We've had
Tommy,
three
you're a
terror
straight
attacks.
talker.
Children are being killed.
Yes, we all know what's been happening.
Yes, I would. I would stop.
You would ban all Muslims?
I would temporarily halt Muslim immigration to this country until we get a grip of the problem.
until we know who's going to integrate, who's going to bomb us and who isn't.
Now, again, Piers, you said in your newspaper yesterday that I was...
It's not my newspaper.
You said in your article yesterday to the national newspaper, you act like I was ignorant and I was stupid, okay? I was ignorant. You have not...
I didn't call you either of those things.
You did.
I said you were violent because you have a long record of criminal convictions for violence. You led a hooligan firm at Luton.
Piers,
You've renamed... Your name is not even Tommy Robinson.
We haven't...
You renamed yourself after the leader of Luton Football Club's main hooligan gang, Men in Gear, right? You accept all that, do you?
What the hell has that got to do with the mosques and kids being raped and our kids being bombed monthly? What's that to do with it? For heaven's sake, Piers.
Oh, yeah, I do. I've not come here.
So you have a record
I've
of
not come
violence.
here to have a slandering match with you because that doesn't get this cause anywhere. I want to do a public service. I want to address the issues. I want to talk about why we've got dead kids in Manchester. I want to prevent what's happening. I haven't come here for you to... I could pick things with your history. You've been involved in one of the biggest media scandals in the country's history. I'm not here to do that with you.
Well,
I think what you've done... I think what you've done over the last 3 weeks, you've repeated what I've said for 10 years, speaking better English. And in 3 years' time, you'll be repeating what I'm saying now
nothing to
because
do-
you're all playing catch-up.
Okay.
I have seen this...
They are playing catch up, they are, but they're so far behind it's untrue.
I'm not talking about what I read in a book. I'm talking about my life experience.
It's
I'm talking about growing up in a town plagued by Islamic
I
extremism.
understand this. Let me just keep this calm, right? Because you are an influential
calm, it's
voice.
not- yeah.
You are an influential
And at every
voice.
opportunity I point out that you should not attack innocent Muslims. At every opportunity,
Right.
every single time, I differentiate Muslims from Islam.
Right.
Okay?
But what you don't do...
differentiate Muslims.
Muslims
from
are people. Islam is an
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Islam is an idea. A bad idea.
And
Islam is a
Muslims
faith.
follow
No, it's an idea.
that
It's
faith.
a faith.
It is an idea, just like communism, just like capitalism, just like Marxism. It should be called an Islamism.
It's an idea that you can change your mind.
No, it's a faith. Like Christianity,
Like Scientology.
like all faiths.
Like
It's a
Scientology?
religion, it's a faith.
Like Scientology.
So, Tommy,
an idea.
if you
It's an
accept,
ideology.
if you're saying that the problem is with Islam, are you accepting that you're Islamophobic?
Because there are 100 verses in
Just
this...
yes or no?
Yeah, there are over 100 verses telling them to kill us, to take our houses, to take our goods, to steal our children and to sell them as sex slaves. It's still got these verses in every Quran. If Pierce or this woman had read any of it, she would know it. It's in all the verses, especially the Sunnah and a few others.
No, are you Islamophobic?
There's no such word as Islamophobia. Phobia is an irrational fear. It's not irrational to fear these things. Now, if I hold this book up and say, there will never be peace on this earth so long as we have this book, it's a violent and cursed book. That tells you
Can
Can I tell you who said that? Can I tell you who said
Can
that?
you put the
Sir William Gladstone
Right, you
said
wouldn't
that.
do that, but...
Sir William
Would
Gladstone.
you do that, but...
Sir William Gladstone, where did he stand up in the Houses of Parliament and say this is an accursed book? Because he'd read it and he understood it and he knew how bad it was.
The Bible Show some respect.
Show some respect.
Show some respect for an ideology that's killed 250, 300 million. It's castrated 15 plus million Africans and whites. It's invaded dozens of countries. It's got barbaric and perverted from day one. You know, this Pierce guy doesn't know what old Mo used to do with little boys and girls, does he? But Tommy does, and I do.
Respect.
Have you read this book?
People.
Have you read this book? There's
There
are 100 verses in this book that incite violence and murder against us.
It does 109 verses, do you reckon? At least 109 verses where it tells them to rob us and kill us and, you know, enslave us, take our houses, take our kids. It really does say this.
Show some damn respect for people's religious beliefs, right?
I should show some respect for a book that incites murder against me.
Put it down.
And calls me an animal. No, I won't put it down. So,
You know, right just now I'd feel like jumping up and smacking him, but that's just me. Thankfully, Tommy's, you know, a bit more patient than me.
William Gladstone held this book above his head in Parliament, and he said there will never be peace on this earth so long as we have this book. It's a violent and cursed book. Was Sir William Gladstone, who we have statues across our capital seat, was he a bigot or an Islamophobe?
See, now,
Winston
you're
Churchill...
sounding like a complete lunatic.
Winston Churchill said that a person that's following Islam, that's filled with Islam, is like a rabies-infected dog. He really did say this in his book, River Wars, in 1898. That was Winston Churchill, one of this country's biggest heroes. You dork, Piers.
I'm quoting some of the best leaders in this
No,
country.
you're sounding like a bigoted lunatic.
No, I'm not.
Basically,
Winston Churchill
you are an Islamophobe who hates Islam.
No, I
who
don't hate
basically
Islam.
think all
I know-
Muslims are to blame.
No.
We've seen you on video saying.
See, he's shouting over every word because he's determined people aren't going to know this truth.
And what you're doing now is deliberately inflammatory. It is deliberately poisonous.
How is this
And you
inflammatory?
are having
I'm
the
just giving you
complete
facts.
opposite effect to the one that you say you
quoting
have.
William Gladstone.
You are stirring
I'm
up
quoting
hatred. You
stirring
are
up hatred.
abusing people's religion. You're abusing their faith,
We've
and
established-
you're being a complete disgrace.
What do you know about the Prophet Muhammad? We've established nothing. You are
I
ignorant
know
of
that
this
you're.
issue.
He's totally ignorant about the Quran, Muhammad, the Hadiths, everything. I know a lot more about it, than Pierce does, but nowhere near as much as Tommy, obviously.
Deliberately
What
insulting
do you know about the Prophet?
who
How am I
have-
insulting people?
who have deeply held religious beliefs.
And if they,
you flouncing
this
the
book-
Quran around in your
this
hand
book is
in
the
that
reason.
disgraceful manner
This book
is
this
outrageous.
book is the reason we're in such a mess.
No.
That's a reality.
No,
Yeah, it is, because it encourages terrorism, encourages invasion, looting, dealing in slaves, demeaning us, laughing at us, calling us obscene, racist names since 627 AD, Piers. You need to learn this.
we're in this mess because people take Islam, they are terrorists, and they abuse the nature of Islam
And
and,
you know
the
that-
wording of Islam,
you know
and
that-
they perpetrate evil, and it is completely wrong.
And
And
you
know
for
that
you
how?
to try and claim that the
And you know that
vast
how?
majority of Muslims
And you know that how, exactly, because you know nothing about it, Piers. You're a typical posh, privileged, 400 grand a guy, Muslim apologetic.
who are decent law-abiding people, to try and abuse and mock their faith and their holy book is an outrage.
And
They're
we're gonna
holy, but
put-
when you talk, okay, so
Tommy Robinson, I'm
when
gonna-
the sacred
I'm gonna
months of
stop you
past,
there
slay the
because
non-Muslims wherever
we
you
are
find them and
going
take them captive and
we
besiege them
are
and prepare for them in
going
ambush.
to-
Yeah, prepare for them in ambush, lay siege to them, and when you get them, behead them, steal, take the kids, etc., etc. You know, it's the same story all the way through the Quran.
Who's slaying who? I'm
We
not
are
inciting
going to
hatred.
talk
This calls for
to
my
a
death.
representative of the Finsbury Park Mosque after 7 o'clock. We're going to have